Let's review some useful properties of equality. The first four properties are very basic and are often used without explicit comment. The reflexive property states that A equals A for all numbers A. The symmetric property states that if A equals B, then B equals A. The transitive property states that if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. So if two quantities are equal to a third quantity, then the two quantities must be equal to each other. Finally, the substitution property says if A equals B, then B can be substituted for A in any expression. The next four properties are particularly useful when solving equations. The addition property says that if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. In other words, we can add any quantity to both sides of an equation. In solving the equation x minus 2 equals 7, we can add 2 to both sides. This gives x equals 9, which is the solution to the original equation. Similarly, to solve the equation x minus 1/2 equals 3, we can add 1/2 to both sides of the equation. We need a common denominator to add the fractions on the right-hand side, so x equals 7/2. The subtraction property of equality follows immediately from the addition property, since A minus C is A plus the opposite of C. The subtraction property says we can subtract any quantity from both sides of any equation. For example, to solve the equation x plus 7 equals 3, we can subtract 7 on both sides of the equation to produce that x equals -4. Similarly, to solve the equation x plus 2/3 equals 5, we could subtract 2/3 from both sides of the equation, then get common denominators to perform the subtraction on the right-hand side, and produce x equals 13/3. The multiplication property of equality says that we can multiply on both sides of an equation by a constant. So to solve the equation x over 3 equals 7, we can multiply by 3 on both sides of the equation. Then 3x over 3 equals 21, and hence x equals 21. Similarly, to solve the equation 2x equals 1/3, we can multiply on both sides of the equation by 1/2. Then 2x over 2 will equal 1/6 by the fraction multiplication property, and x equals 1/6. Note that multiplication by 1/2 is the same as division by 2. The division property is a direct consequence of the fact that A divided by C is A times the reciprocal of C, provided that C is non-zero. So if A is equal to B and C is non-zero, then A over C is equal to B over C. For example, to solve the equation 2x equals 8, we can divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 4. In most cases, I prefer to multiply by the reciprocal of a number instead of dividing by the number, as the next example shows. To solve the equation 3 over 7 times x equals 6, we can multiply both sides of the equation by 7/3. The fraction multiplication then produces that 21x over 21 equals 7 times 6 over 3. Simplification yields that x equals 14.